everyone, and welcome to this episode of the vlog. So if you are a regular to this channel, then you would know about my saga in trying to get my Tesla Model S, my salvage Tesla Model S, recertified to use supercharging. Just to recap, in November of last year, Tesla introduced a program to allow salvage vehicles to go through an extensive heavy-duty check to recertify those vehicles for charging or using their supercharging network, and indeed supercharging in general. The idea behind this was that Tesla have opened up their charging network to other brands. Other brands may have vehicles that are salvaged who are using Tesla superchargers, and so therefore they were unfairly penalizing owners of their vehicles from not using their network. So they introduced this recertification program, and once you get through, you can then use your supercharger. However, in my case, my car is one of those early Teslas that has free supercharging, and I feel that this may be causing, have the idea that Tesla may not want my car back on the network for that very reason. So I, being the stubborn person that I am, are trying to facilitate every one of their whims and needs to basically see if this is really the case. So my car, the last time I had it into Tesla, it had the front lube checks, the front lubes were opening, and then they said that they couldn't recertify it because they needed to have the original bumper on the vehicle. So today we are fitting the original bumper back on the vehicle. Yes, I kept all the bits, and now we are going to pull it back to factory. That means putting a bumper that is badly sprayed onto the vehicle, but it is going to be all the original parts, and then the car is booked in on Monday and we'll be able to see if it passes or not. So today we need to take the old bumper off, take off all the bits and bobs from that bumper, pull it onto the old dated bumper. I'm not a fan of the new look, of the old look rather, but that's what we need to do. That's what we're going to do. So let's rock on, get that front bumper off, and then get it fitted or get the old one retrofitted or originally put back fitted to the old vehicle. Okay, looks like grey clouds coming in, so it looks like it's going to be raining soon. So we need to work fast and get this bumper off. So that's essentially we're just going to take this old bumper off and then put a new one on. But we also have to put the bumper on, the crash bar on as well. So that's going to take a little while. But in the meantime, this car's making a weird sound. I can hear a pump going. We'll find out what that is in a second. Let's start stripping. So, never let it be said that garages don't bodge things. That's Tesla's fix to keeping a parking sensor in place. Put tape around it and then put a tie strap. It does actually clip in if you do it properly. But obviously someone doesn't have the technique, so that's the way they've done it. Anyway, let's get that off. I also want to show that this wasn't broken when I last put it on, so they obviously tore that off as well. Not good at all. Very poor. Anyway, bumper is now off, and the next thing we need to do is we need to take off the crash bar, and to do that we need to take all of that interior trim off, which is a real pain, but it is what it is. So let's do that and get that fixed. Right, so by way of reminder, what Tesla are saying is that this bar is no good, and they have noted in their report that it's been cut, which they're right, it has been cut. So we've got a replacement. We did cut it because initially when we put this in, it didn't fit, but now we know how to do it, so my bad, but rightly so, it should be complete. So we're going to replace this with a good one, and that will then satisfy that. When they then take the bumper off and see that, we should be good. So let's continue with that before the rain comes, but first, like I said, let's get this off. And there we go, all stripped out. Once you strip out a Tesla, a Model S, you see how well built it is. Now, the original early Tesla, which is what this is, it's slightly less glamorous than the newer one, so it's got some older components. So for example, here you've got the compressor for the air suspension. This is the brake compressor. So instead of having a vacuum pump, which is normally sucked using the engine vacuum, Tesla has a pump, so every time you press the brake, you'll hear this motor whine. And then it's got a conventional power steering pump, electric one, and then your compressor for your AC, and then you got your ABS pump here, and then here you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all the hydraulic pumps for the water system, so pumping water to cool the batteries, etc. And then of course your radiators in the side here. Now we got to remove this. To do that, we just got to remove 4 bolts, 1, 2, and then 1 down below, and then 1 down here, and then the same on the other side, and then that will take that off. And back there, orange cable means high voltage, so we don't touch that. That's our DC charger. I think one's AC, one's DC. I think that might be the DC, and then that one there is the AC charger, and that's the one that's been decommissioned, if that's a DC charger, but I could be wrong. But yeah, really simple inside, nothing really complex, and very well put together, to be fair. So yeah, let's crack on and get this crash bar off. Okay, so this here is one of the vents that I believe is blocked. You see, it's one big radiator, and then you've got just 2 basically vents where it comes in, but the new radiator has a bigger lower vent, and I believe that you get much better suction. So if anything, this here on the newer model is different compared to what this one is. But anyway, we're putting the original one back on, that's all that matters, so we'll carry on doing it. So now we've got the crash bar off, we can put the new one back on, and we'll do that shortly. But first we got to go and strip the bumper and put all the bits onto the old bumper. Strange saying the old bumper and the new bumper, isn't it? But you guys know what I mean. Alright, let's leave this guy for a bit and we'll come back to him shortly. Right, we got in just in time before the rain, as the rain started to come. Okay, we've got a good bumper now. This is one we're going to keep, and we want to keep the Tesla bods happy, so we're going to strip this down. So this is the original lube that goes on this type of bumper, but because we've modified this bumper, you can see there's a great big gap here, which is like massive, and that's because we custom fit the lube from the old bumper to fit on here by cutting this back. So ideally we want to put this back, or the one that's fitted, which is a proper one down there, back on here when we eventually put this bumper back into commission. And we will be putting this bumper back in commission, trust me. Alright, so for now, let's strip this down. We're going to get these side lights out so we can put them into that bumper down there, and we're going to take this lube out and fit that in the original bumper as well. So let's get on and do that. Now, this is the one that I replaced because it was broken, and I've noticed, because this, they were saying that this wasn't opening properly, and when you look at it, you can see that it's not actually closing properly, and I realized that actually in the motor mount, it is quite loose. It shouldn't be like that. It should be really tight, and yet it's loose. So I wonder if that could be, if you look at this one here, this one is, well, this one also moves, but not like that one. I mean, that one clearly, you can see the motor's quite stiff there, but there, it's got a lot of play in that motor, isn't it? So that isn't good at all. Okay. Fortunately, the new one that we put on, that one also seems to be very good. Right, so we stripped all the lights off, as you can see. Now I'm going to move this into a safe place, gather the screws, and then we'll put the new one there. But just before we do that, if you remember, I had to glue this thing here, and the reason why I had to do that was because this had come off. But when I glued it, I didn't give it enough time to set. So when I put it on the car, even though it was kind of set, it slipped down. As you can see, that's the line is where it was, and that is where it is now. So I think what I will do is I will re-glue this, since it's going to be off the car for a good few days. So we'll put it, once we get the bumper sorted, we'll put it back in this position hopefully, and it will, and we'll clamp it in place and we'll glue it in. But I thought it was going to be difficult to come off, but look at that, it's bought the glue with it. Yeah. Okay, well at least that's good. At least I don't have to, I will clean this up a wee bit and then we'll put it back in, but we'll let it set for about 72 hours because that's how long it will take me before I put the other one back. Good, okay, lovely stuff. And there you go, all done, all put together, all back to factory. Every screw, every bolt, everything back in. I must say, it does fit rather good. It's just a wrong looking bumper. That's the only thing about this bumper. Okay, so now this is the smash bumper I was talking about. Now this bit of foam here normally comes off really easy, but for some reason it is properly put on, and I reckon that the bods at the Tesla garage glued this on, because it suspiciously is sticking rather well. I reckon they glued it on, or put double-sided sticky tape or something on another to make that stick on. So well, let's have a look. I'm going to take it off and then we'll have a look.
A few moments later.
Yep, as I suspected, they just glued it on. You can see the glue there. Okay, now the other change on this bumper that we need to make is these brackets. So this is the original brackets, and I tell you what, I'm so glad I kept these. I kept these not because I thought I was going to fit them again. I kept them because I'm a hoarder, but my hoarding has paid dividend. So you can't fit this bumper without these brackets. This is the bracket for the new one. I had to order these in specially because it won't fit otherwise without it. These are the old ones. You can't fit this. The hole is completely in the wrong way when you come to screw it up, so absolutely necessary to keep this, and I'm glad I did. Right, we have now all the components. Let's go and get this bumper fitted to the car.
Day 2.
Okay, so it's the next day because rain stopped play yesterday. It's a much sunnier day today, and we are at final assembly of the Tesla. So we've got the new crash bar in. We even mounted this battery point. If you wonder what this is, so essentially if your 12-volt battery, because yes, Electric cars do have a 12-volt battery. If that dies, you basically put a jumper lead across here and across that point over there, and that's this one here, and essentially you can then coax the car into life, because without electric power you ain't opening this car, because everything including the doors are electrically operated, so you need that. So we've got our new crash bar in and it looks brand new. So now we just got to assemble our front, and here is our makeshift front to get us through the test. So let's get that assembled, and let's see how she looks when she's all back together. And that is it, all done. The ugly front bumper is now fitted. Do you know what, I really do not like these fronts on the old Mark 1 Tesla. They look horrible, and then the front bumper, badly painted, just adds to it. In terms of match, it's kind of there. It doesn't really fit that well, and you can see that it's definitely a mismatch, but I don't care, because like I said, this is only here temporary. Let's close it up. Here you go. What do you think though? Let me know in the comments. Are you a fan of the old bumper or of the new? Be interesting to see. But for now, this is now ready for its test on Monday, and I ain't driving it until then because it's ugly. I am not a fan of that front bumper. I think that the Mark 1 front bumper is really ugly, but that's just my opinion. You tell me what you think in the comments down below. So by the time you see this, the car would have been hopefully returned to me, and I may know something. Something tells me though I probably won't know, and this will drag on and on. But as far as I'm concerned, I've done everything that Tesla have asked me to do. The original front is now back on, and we've got all the original equipment back in place as well. So let's see if it passes the inspection. But no doubt they'll probably tell me, oh, now we have to take it back up to Winchester to do something or the other. Or they may pleasantly surprise me, but I doubt that very much. If you're enjoying this series, don't forget to subscribe down below. Click on the bell notification, so it will you're notified whenever we release a new video. Tune in to find out whether or not we get this resolved. I may do a community post. If I get some good news, you will know. In the meantime, have a good week, and we'll see you in the next one.